Today, we are going to have a 30-minute transformational talk to help you shift from pain to personal power. Hello, and welcome back to my power session. I am your favorite certified transformational life and relationship empowerment coach. I am Dr. Frida. And today we are diving into something real. Today we're going to talk about how to reclaim your power after a heartbreak. And if you listen to my podcast a couple of weeks ago, I talked about how to come back after a divorce. So, a divorce or a long term relationship from a breakup. Today, I want to talk about specifically just breakups. And a breakup can be a divorce, or you could be just dating someone and you called it quits, or that person ghosted you, or either way, that person is no longer in your life physically. And we're going to dive deep into how to get your power back after a breakup. And we know breakups can be very traumatic, very hard. Sometimes it can be very toxic. However, I'm going to talk about and show you how to move through it. Not around, because if you've been following me for a while, you know that we move through things. We don't avoid them, because the longer you avoid things, the more it's going to happen to you. Okay? So, how to reclaim your power after a heartbreak. And let me tell you, I have had good and bad relationships where either I have ended the relationship or my partner at the time ended the relationship. And either way, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good when you are giving, and it doesn't feel good when you are receiving the news of ending a relationship. But I promise by the end of this episode, you will feel seen, understood, and you will have the tools to start rising again. So let's jump into it. You know, we got 30 minutes and we don't have time to spare. So, heartbreak isn't just emotional, it's energetic. I said this a couple of weeks ago. When you get through a divorce, it can be very, very traumatic and very hard. Whether it was for the best or however you look at it, it still can be hard because that person once upon a time had space in your life, energetically, physically, financially, spiritually, whatever, right? Emotionally. And that person no longer occupies that space in your life. And now you have to go back and reevaluate your life without this person. And I don't care if it was 3 months or 3 years, they still had this space in your life that's no longer there. And sometimes we don't just lose the person, we lose our routine, our identity, and our sense of control. But you're not weak. You're not weak for feeling broken, because as a human, you felt a deep connection with this person, whether it was reciprocated or not. Okay. So I don't want you to come in and listen to this power session as in a victim mindset where it's just, not woe is me, but I did something wrong or I shouldn't feel this way. And I'm here to tell you, going through a breakup is extremely difficult, and you have to have compassion with yourself. You gave that person compassion many times. Now it's time for you to give yourself that compassion. So let me ask you this. What did you attach your worth to in that relationship? Because remember, I said when you're going through a breakup, you may feel broken and you may feel unworthy. You may have these different feelings, emotional feelings where you may not feel enough. So I want to ask you, what did you attach your worth to in that relationship? This is not a judgment type of question. This is a question that I want you to ask yourself. This is a question that I want you to be very transparent. And pain can be a mirror for you. And what I mean when I say that is pain can show you what you've been ignoring, tolerating, or forgetting about yourself. Sometimes we get in relationships and we pour so much from our cup into our partner's cup that we forget to refill our own cup or allow ourselves to receive a refill in our own cup. And so I want you, when I asked you that question about what did you attach your worth to in that relationship or any relationship, I want you to ask yourself and answer it honestly, because that pain that you're feeling can be a mirror that's showing you what you've been ignoring and tolerating for so long. So even if you're not in that relationship, I want you to be able to heal holistically. So when you go to your next relationship, you're not taking on this baggage, the baggage that you may have brought on to this previous relationship, right? I want you to be honest with self. For an example, when I was dating my ex-husband at the time, we met at a party. And when I met him, I was going through a crossroads in my life. And it was a period where I was struggling emotionally, mentally, and I just wanted to escape. I had just lost my grandmother, who was like my second mother to me. And I had just gotten through a really bad breakup with a person who I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with. And I was just going through a lot emotionally, physically. I was just getting out of grad school, was trying to find a job. Like it was just everything that when people say it can't get any worse, it got worse. And so it was just a point in my life where I wanted to just break free from everything that was going on around me instead of leaning into what was going on around me and growing from that. I wanted to escape it. And that act of wanting to escaping and not healing through it allowed me to ignore a lot of red flags from my ex-husband and even date someone who wasn't necessarily emotionally available to me or for me, right? And so when I asked those questions, like what did you attach your worth to in that relationship, it's because sometimes we are projecting or mirroring what we have inside, thinking externally is going to validate us and heal us, right? So, what truth did heartbreak force you to face? Because sometimes when things happen to us, it's really happening for us. And so, when a person exit out your life or you exit that person out your life, it doesn't hurt any less. But what did this breakup making you or forcing you to realize? And that's a question that only you can answer that. I can't answer that. I'm just posing those questions to you because when you are in a situation, especially when it keeps happening again and you keep on attracting that same person in a different suit, then it's something that's inside of you that is almost like muscle memory. You attracting these same type of people because it's familiar to you, whether they're emotionally unavailable, whether they are abusive physically or verbally, whether they are financially a leech to you, whatever that is that you no longer want in your life. You want to do the work to clean up whatever that is that you keep attracting in a partner to come back into your life. So your breakdown during this heartbreak is often your soul's breakthrough. So don't look at it as this is the end of the road for you. This is only the beginning. Okay. So I want to give you 3 mini steps to reclaiming your power. Because when we go through trauma, whether it's a breakup or anything like that, one of the main reasons is why it's so heavy on our heart and it's heavy on us is because we feel like we gave away our power or it was taken away from us. And we have to reclaim our power back so we can continue through that process of healing. So I'm going to give you 3 mini steps of reclaiming your power back because you are not that victim. Yes, the heartbreak is traumatic and it hurts, but you're not that victim. You're going to be aware of what is going on, that heartbreak, and you're going to move through that process. And however long it's going to take, you have to be open and compassionate and give yourself that time and space to do the necessary healing from that heartbreak. So you won't make those same mistakes. So you won't attract that same type of person that you have done in past relationships, just in a different suit. So, the first step in reclaiming your power through a heartbreak is cut the cord with compassion, of course. And you know me, I'm like, I would project pack you. Don't call me, don't text me. Okay. That is a one-way ticket to the block list. But you want to have compassion when you are cutting those cords. Because what I don't suggest is that you do it so cold turkey and yet that one night of vulnerability, that late night when it's raining and you have your glass of wine and the Netflix is on you. I'm setting this stage and you get that text message, what you doing? It was a text message, hey big head, right? We don't want that. We don't want that text message to get through to us. And even if it does get through to us, we don't want to be in a position of vulnerability where we allow what no longer serves us back into our lives. Because that X is there for a reason. That prefix is there for a reason. That ex boyfriend, ex girlfriend is there for a reason. So, why do you want to invite back something that you know is not going to last? It even might last a couple of days or a couple of weeks. But we always like to remember the good times and we forget about how they made you feel in those low, low, bad times. So, I want you to cut the cord with compassion, of course, energetically and emotionally. You have to set boundaries because boundaries matter. Boundaries is your way communicating energetically what you are willing and not willing to tolerate and put up with. You owe it to yourself. You even owe it to your ex partner because you are standing in the way of that person's growth and that person is standing in the way of your growth. Cut the cords. You can love what you had and still walk away in your peace. Because peace is something you can't buy. Peace is something you can't negotiate with. Peace is something that you set for yourself when you set emotional, mental, energetic boundaries. That's something you do for yourself. That is part of self-care. Yes, self-care is going to the spa and doing all this stuff. But true self care is when you set the necessary boundaries to protect your heart, to protect your peace, to protect your mindset, right? And of course, like I said, always do it with compassion. Number two, choose self devotion over self neglect. I want you to reclaim yourself. Like I just said about your self care. What does self care look like for you? It looks different from person to person. For me, I start each day with my meditation. with gratitude and just getting centered with myself. I have an accountability call with one of my best friends to hold me accountable of what I am achieving physically. And when I say I meditate for about an hour or so in the morning before my day even gets started, because that's how I get grounded. That's how my mind is just like quiet, and I can be the person that I need to be to work full time, to coach full time, to be present in my relationships. So that's my self care. That's my daily devotion to myself. What are your daily devotion rituals that you do for yourself? Because sometimes in relationships, like I said earlier, we forget the relationships with ourselves in order to build and promote a relationship with another person. And in doing that, we often forget about ourselves. And then when we go through these heartbreaks, it almost feels like we're empty and we have nothing else to give because we gave so much of our power, our time, ourselves, our resources to a person who did not reciprocate it or appreciate it. So create some self-care rituals for yourself so you don't continue to neglect yourself, whether it's emotionally or mentally. And some ways that you can do this, like mindful journaling, meditating, going for a walk, getting out in nature, moving, working out, getting rest. You know, we in a culture where if you just, the more busy you seem to be, or put yourself, I mean, you put more things on your calendar, you seem to be this powerful person. No, your body needs rest, because if you don't give your body rest, it will do it for you. And you don't want that to happen. Right. So I want you to prioritize yourself for once, because you deserve it. And then number three is rewrite the story. Like I said earlier, this breakup is not the end. You turn the page, you go to the next chapter. That's how it works. You take the lessons that you learned from this heartbreak, from the role you played in this relationship, and the role they play in this relationship, and you turn the page. You literally turn the page and start a new chapter. I want you to think about what that relationship taught you. What are the lessons you learned? And you always learn a lesson. There's always a lesson. Even if you can't see it right now, even if you think this person has wasted your time, there is always a lesson to be learned about yourself, about how you show up in a relationship. But you only can do that when you sit with self, when you sit in silence, when you cut the clutter off, when you disconnect from the external. Okay? You don't, you, and I want you to realize you didn't lose time. You're exactly where you need to be. You did not lose time. You gain wisdom, but you only can see that when you move and go through that clutter, that emotional walls, emotional defenses, and you sit with self and realize the beauty from all the ashes that just burned. Because it is. You just have to see it. So let's talk about some common traps that may delay your healing, because that's something we need to talk about. So, like I said earlier, accepting those calls, whether it's late night, during the day, birthday calls, or, oh, I just seen something that reminded me of you. And I always suggest to my clients, if you're not ready to receive that person who you just broke up with, and if it's really hard, block them. That's a boundary that you're setting for yourself. Put them on a one-way ticket to the block list. They don't have to stay there forever, but they need to be there in order for your healing to be complete and not come out it prematurely. Because the way you go in is not how you're going to come out. But you want to give yourself that space, that opportunity to truly heal. So, another common trap that may delay the process is keeping tabs on their social media. Where every time they post, a notification comes to you, or you just scrolling and you see a post from them. They may have moved on, or they're at a restaurant that you all used to go to frequently. You have to disconnect all the way. You can't just disconnect some of the way. You owe it to yourself to truly, truly heal, right? Another trap that we do, men and women, is we romanticize the potential instead of the reality. Like I said earlier, is when we think about all of the good times and forget about the bad times, how that person made us feel, how they made us feel so low and not worthy of even being in a relationship. You have to think about everything, not just the good, but the bad. So stop romanticizing something that is not good for you. Okay. Or what about trying to rush into the next relationship before reclaiming your identity? There a lot of people will say the best way to get over somebody is under somebody else. That's the worst advice you can give someone and the worst advice you can get from somebody. Because all you're doing is taking your baggage from one relationship to the next. And energetically, you are being irresponsible and pushing out your emotional baggage on the next person. Now you with the next person and you all having arguments on something that they don't even know what's happening. They don't even know what the argument is about, but because they did something that triggered you that you haven't healed from the previous relationship. That's what happens. That's what triggers are. When you haven't completely healed from a traumatic experience. So no, when you just relationship hop, all you're doing is just prolonging your healing time and prolonging your availability to receive the person who's truly meant for you. That's all you're doing. So you're just healing. You are literally prolonging the healing process. So I want you to remember your power isn't in being chosen. That's not power. True power is when you choose yourself. So you don't have to go from relationship to relationship to build up your self-esteem to make you feel good. Because when the lights go down and you put your head on that pillow, you have to sleep with your conscience and realize I still do not feel fulfilled. Because fulfillment, validation, healing, it doesn't come from another person. It doesn't come externally. It comes from within. And you got to sit with that thing until that thing is truly, truly healed. So when your next partner comes in and he or she or they say something, what what once triggered you, now you can look at it from eyes of compassion. Now you can have a full conversation and communicate without being hostile, without ego coming into the relationship, but compassion. Choose yourself. Don't follow that fallacy of wanting someone to choose you. You choose yourself. Because once you choose yourself first, energetically, you will send out this beam of light of, yes, you are the one. You are bad in a great way. Yes. So you don't have to have this desperation signal. You have this healing signal. And let me tell you something, healing and confidence is so sexy. Very, very sexy. So reclaim, how do you we went over how you reclaim your power back and how to heal through that heartbreak. Because like I said, does heartbreak suck? Yes. Is it easy? Not all the time. But you will and can get through that process. But you have to be open and available to go through it and to receive the help from people like myself. So I want you to picture the version of yourself feeling emotionally empowered and free. What does that feel like? What are you no longer tolerating? And I don't care if you are at this point in your life. I want you to think about when you get to that point, what does that feel like? How do you show up, not just in a romantic relationship, but how do you show up for your job, for your parents, for your community, for your children? How do you show up? What looks different? What looks different for you? What are you no longer tolerating? I just want you to envision the person that you are working towards. So I want you to say this to yourself every single night before you go to bed and every single day when you wake up. I am returning to myself. Once again, I am returning to myself. And I want you to remember, you don't have to build or rebuild overnight. This process, when you got to this process, it didn't happen overnight. So to go through the healing process is going to take some time as well. But we are again in a culture where we want the end product without going through the process. The healing is not in the ending product. The healing is in the process. So you have to go through that process. However long that's going to take is solely dependent on you. The beauty of time is always there. But the con of time is you have to wait for it. So you just have to start choosing your healing on purpose today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Don't wait until next week. Don't wait until that person change. Why are you waiting on them to change? You be the change you want to see. Because even if that person never change, or that person you hope will one day come back, even if they don't, you should go through this process of healing yourself for yourself. Choose you. They didn't choose you. Excuse me. You choose you. So once you choose yourself, then the right person will see your beauty and they will say, oh, I want that person. I need that person. Like I said, confidence, growth, healing, that's sexy. That is sexy. And people can feel that. So I want to remind you that you are not your heartbreak. It's something that happened to you, but it also happened for you as well. There are some things that you can work on. Those are some opportunities of growth as we all have them, but you can rise from it. This is not a period. This is a continuation, all right? So, thank you for joining me for another 30-minute power session. 30 minutes go by so fast, but if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and also share this video with a person who you think can benefit from it. Sharing is caring. And also head over to my website. It'll be in the description below and also somewhere on this video. But head to my website and join the Love Lounge community. It's my free private community where we talk about everything from life to relationships. And like I said, it is private. I come to you all weekly with words of motivation. I also have monthly master classes that I do not do on social media. It's only for the private community, and it's just a way to have just more information, resources, and tools to empower your life to make the best decisions for you. Also, head over to Amazon. I'll put it in description and below and pick up a copy of my journal. Dump that shit. It's a 31-day daily journal to help you to remember who you are and your personal power. And again, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And I want to leave you with this. I am reclaiming my power, one boundary, one truth, and one breath at a time. I'm Dr. Frida, and I will see you next week.